All right, we are live. Hey, good evening, LinkedIn. Dave Wilson, the Ring of Hire Show. Hey, listen, tonight I got a great guest, and I'm strolling through LinkedIn, and I see Deanna Russo's Leverage Up. She's on the show tonight, an expert in LinkedIn, and I'm excited for it because I have 30 pages of research that I've done, and I got like 30 million questions to ask you, Deanna. So how you doing?
30 million. That's it? Just 30
million
million?
questions about LinkedIn. So please, everybody, tonight, you get a chance, you want to ask a question about LinkedIn, but you know the drill. We'll be right back after this video. I still love that video every time I watch it.
I feel like it's a movie trailer. Like I should be like coming soon to theaters.
Well, I tell everybody, I even said last night, I've worked with a guy on Fever, whatever you want to call it, for the last 5 years. And he's from Bangladesh, and I saw that video and I was like, I wrote every word of staffing I could think of. And he put that together with it, not knowing how he would do it, how he just put it in on every pain point.
Yeah.
And we made that within 2 takes and $35. That's it.
That's awesome. That's
I
fantastic.
love it. But I'm going to jump right in. First of all, I want you to introduce yourself and what you do. I know you're in Cleveland, Ohio, right?
Yes, not too far from Cleveland. So my name is Deanna Russo, and I own a business called Leverage Up. And funny thing about the name of my business, that is exactly what I help people do on LinkedIn. I help people take their game and strategy, if they have one, to the next level. And if they don't have one, I give you one.
Yep. I love it. And I see you. I mean, on the LinkedIn profile review, you do triangle strategy. That's what I wanted to start out with. But then team consultations, speaker, you'll talk to people about LinkedIn. Yep. And, that's got to consume you, I tell you. And here we are. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn all the time. And I'm thinking, wow, if that was my main job, I'd be like, whoo, you get a lot of questions.
Believe it or not, I am not on LinkedIn 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Believe it or not. I know that's hard to believe, but yeah.
No, that would be hard. Tonight, if you want to start out, I loved about the triangle strategy, if you want to talk about.
Sure. Yeah. First, I want to give some background. So back in 2018, I was in a sales job. And for 10 years before that, 2008, I had been on LinkedIn. But that sales job brought me more active to LinkedIn because they wanted me to use it to send direct messages, to cold call pitch. And I did it. I did it for a while. I even apologize now to people that I've been connected to since that time. Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry I pitched you. I'm so sorry. But I did it for weeks until I got a light bulb moment. That was basically, these people don't know you, Deanna. These people don't like you, Deanna. And these people sure as heck do not trust you, Deanna. So why would they spend their money with the company that you're working for if you hadn't earned that know, like, and trust? And so when I had that moment, I'm like, that's it. I'm not going to do this anymore. There's got to be a better way. So I started creating content. And I started having conversations with the people who I wanted to be seen by, who I wanted to be more visible by. And I started putting more energy into my profile. And without realizing it at the time, I grew from 400 to 11,000 in 18 months. And I wasn't paying attention to the numbers. And now I have over 30,000. And it's all about that triangle strategy. It's what you say in your profile,
Right.
having those conversations that people really need to see you. And then you create that content and it becomes your megaphone. And then the fourth piece, if I was to make that triangle like a pyramid to make it 3D, it's consistency. It is, you got to consistently do all of the above.
Well, when I saw that, I talked to you about this right before the show was, like for the job seeker out there, the typical person, and, they don't put much time into it, into their LinkedIn profile. They know they should because they always say that. And then when I get a lot of candidates, say they lost their job or laid off, something in that territory, everybody goes right away. Yep, I got to go start working on my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That to me, I tell them is just the wrong answer. And I know you're going to tell me why, because I know why too. And it's just like, why would you tell somebody that's, well, I'm just going to go do it? I don't see anything. I put it together. I don't know what to do here. How am I supposed to find a job, connect to the right people? And they're the kind of things I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah. So first of all, that profile, one of the very first clients that I took on when I started my business, she came to me and she said, I want to be proactive instead of reactive.
Right.
And we worked together on all of the things. And then when she found out that her job was going to be eliminated, she was in a really good place. And I wish more people would start being more proactive and start thinking about, yes, you still have a job, but what's going to happen down the road? Do you know what's going to happen down the road? Are there question marks? And that's what it's all about, is being more proactive, because
Oh, you muted yourself. That's okay.
There we go.
There you go. Nope. There you go again.
Twice.
There you go.
Be the cord. I'm going to just not hit the cord.
That's all right. There you go.
When it comes to job seeking, the wrong thing to do is to go to a website like Indeed, Monster, all of those, because all you're going to do is sit there and apply and apply and apply, and you're going to end up in a big pile of papers that no one is going to see, as opposed to coming to LinkedIn and establishing your personal brand to make yourself differentiate yourself from everybody else who does what you do. Because not everybody who's going to be applying for that job is going to have a LinkedIn profile as spectacular as yours. So you have to differentiate. You have to be the purple and pink unicorn among all of the gray figures so that you stand out, because otherwise you just blend in.
Does the keyword has a lot of it too, right?
It
when
does.
you develop, right? That's on the SEO. That's what you hear about.
It does.
Like what I tell people, what I've done is, listen, I mean, I'm always changing mine a little bit. I mean, because I'll go into somebody that I know that does the same job as me. And then I look at their profile. I'm like, wow, from the different softwares that you use, I didn't realize that should be on there, because that can help you out. So if you can explain how the SEO works, and why the keywords of, having them in your profile.
Right. But I will stop short by saying that it shouldn't be loaded with the keywords, because in essence, LinkedIn gives you 220 characters to use.
I've seen them write the name. They'll write a long list. I'm like, what did they do? Is that right?
And it's just a whole bunch of keywords for some people. And I don't recommend it. I don't. I say lead with your differentiator. The first 45 characters goes with you when you comment, when you post. So obviously you'll want to put what you really, really feel strongly about and the primary goal of why you're there in that first 45 characters. David, I've seen people lead with unemployed or looking for a next opportunity. What does that tell me about what you're looking for? You gotta think about what would be the most ideal job, and how would you sell yourself to that hiring manager and recruiter. And I have worked with so many people who have said, I'm really good at selling this. I'm good at selling XYZ, whatever it is. But when it comes to selling myself, I can't do it.
People look you up. Like as soon as maybe it's just because I'm maybe been staffing, but when you're looking at a new hire, for me, I go right to the LinkedIn profile.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
see some people that really do a great job. Some that, listen, not everybody's going to be right on the money, but at least have it, the image, your background. You talk about it all in all your information that you have on LinkedIn here about it to make sure about the images look great, right? And then
Right.
even the resume not matching what they have there on LinkedIn.
Yeah, your
You know,
resume should be different. It should
right,
be let the LinkedIn, gone are the days when LinkedIn is an online resume.
right,
That doesn't exist. Now it is a professional networking platform or personal branding device. Fill
right.
in the metaphor that you want. Your billboard is your
That's what I wanted to talk
profile.
about. Yeah,
It's your
I love how
billboard.
you
You
said
got to
the
get cars
billboard.
driving by it. Yep.
Yeah, I like how you said that versus a business card. That's you're driving down, that's right. Everybody gets to see you. And listen, I love video. That's just me. Ever since, a little bit before COVID, I was into the new AI. I knew it was coming. I understood it. Like when you watch a show like this and watch us over and over, you get to know the person, and I think that's what you mean by building the trust too.
You do. Yeah.
Just because you don't do videos doesn't mean you can't be trusted. Look,
No.
everybody knows me, and that's great. But I told you before that the importance, you have high numbers, okay, followers. It's great on a show. But if you don't know your audience, and that's why I liked how you talked about get to know and trust. And if you want to go over that a little bit, I really like that.
Yeah. When people come to your profile, they should get to know you.
Right.
And when they get to like you is when you're having conversations. And with what I teach people is strategic conversations.
That's what I
Imagine
want to do.
that
Yeah.
you go into a networking event and you see all of these groups of people talking. Well, then imagine that you see signs hanging over their conversations telling you what everybody's talking about.
Right.
David, I have yet to walk into a real life networking event where I walk in and see signs, but if anybody ever sees it, I want a picture.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
But on LinkedIn, you can because those are your people. You
Right.
know that that's who you want to have conversations with, and you go over there to shake hands. And then the trust is built through content. And it's not going to be built in a matter of weeks. And in some cases, it takes more than months. It's really about the marathon more than
Right.
it's a sprint. But you got to consistently stay at it. When I started creating content, it was 2018 and it was Halloween. So I just passed a few weeks ago my 6 years.
Right.
And I started with video, and I started with 2 videos a week, and I kept that up for over a year.
Wow. That's long.
Consistency is
Yep.
so important. You need to build that trust, and they're not going to be able to trust you if they don't see you and they don't understand what you're all about. So it's built
Do you
over.
feel do you feel when you say that, sorry for interrupting,
That's
when you
okay.
say that, do you feel, we all talk about how to get your content out there and everybody, between all the social media, it'll drive you friggin' crazy.
Yeah,
'Cause I
there's a
try
lot.
to stick with one now. I used to like Facebook, that's done and over with. I don't have no besides just the funny stuff and all that, that's good. But LinkedIn, I see a lot of people putting up stories, and you talk a lot about stories that saying that's what you need. That's what you can do to get people interested versus just, plain post or anything. But if you tell a
Yeah.
story, that's a difference.
I love telling stories. And I feel like when people are on LinkedIn, they're scrolling, but if you can hook them in with a really good opening line or two and
Right.
then tell the story of why you said it and bring it all together, a good story has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
And
And
then,
that's what you're looking to bring the value. And honestly, there's a lot of people out there that they want to tell stories, but they just don't know how. And I think
no.
about it in the simplest way, that what conversations are you having? Or for job seekers, what are the types of things that you are really proud of that
Right.
you would tell that hiring manager in the interview? What are the types of things that would really sell you as a candidate compared to other candidates?
Now you could put that in your featured section though, right? I
You
mean, that
can.
was like I have some great videos that I really like of Richard and top guests that I've had there. That's where I put my feature that I've learned. I was like, because that's what I want people to see. When they
Yeah.
open it up, okay, Dave does all right, a video. Okay, wow. They can click right on that. And when I saw that, I was thinking, wow, that would be something to where I think I would use it as this is Dave, or Deanna. I look up you and I see that. I think that's important.
Yeah, and it's using your billboard in the best way possible. If LinkedIn's going to give you something like a featured section, you want to make sure that it looks the best that it can, colorful, that you mix it up. I've got my LinkedIn newsletter in there. I've got a podcast I was recently on. I have ways for people to sign up for my e-blast, my email blast. I have a testimonial or two in there. So you got to put the best foot forward, because people might not scroll down through the profile and look for something else.
I
So
have
you got to
colleagues that if I spelled the
there.
word wrong. Oh yeah, if I spelled the word wrong, they message me, Dave, you spelled the word wrong. Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, you gotta be joking me. You just messaged me saying, Dave, you spelled the word wrong. Oh, thank you. But you do. And that's what I mean about getting to know the person, because I'd be like, oh, thank you. That it doesn't look good that I post something that I don't know the spelling.
But it also shows that you're human. It shows that you're human, and we're not putting in our content into AI, and we're not having that generated for us. I always tell people that if you're creating content with an AI like ChatGPT, use it as a guide. Do not use it as your words. No. Use it as a guide and then tweak it to make it sound like you.
That gives me great ideas, and I take that, and I tell people too. I tell them, yeah, AI, for me, I had a bad accident years ago when I fell off this 50-foot cliff and fell down on a river, was passed out. It took 50 firefighters. Whole head was wide open right before COVID. And I woke up 2 days later after they flew me out. And ever since then, sometimes my thought process, it's not there sometimes with the different medications. But with AI, I use it as a tool.
Yes.
So I'll look up my post, even podcast, because what it does for me is I can use that to be like, oh, that's right. I didn't think of that. Or even when I do the content, they know, somebody that's using the AI. So I kind of, I shrink it down. I'm like, that's not what I want to say. That's not me. They're going to say, that's not Dave. That's AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think you have to do that. But I love using AI as a tool only, not to get the answers. And I teach the same thing. I put it in there, something to put all your keywords, but then word it differently.
Right.
And you're going to see it, because I'm sure, I think on LinkedIn, you can rewrite it with AI. It says right there, you click on that.
You do have that ability. I have yet to use that tool, but it does give you that ability to do it.
It does. And it drives you crazy sometimes. You're like, all right. Now the articles, I've noticed, I love putting the articles out. I just did one. And, I take it from different articles. I take different paragraphs and I put time into it. So it's not going to be something where you're going to go to and find it on one spot. It's going to be all over because you got to do the research.
Right.
What I've noticed doing articles, that really has people, I've had them reach out to me and say, hey, you seem to know what you're talking about here. And that's where, again, like you said, you get to know the person.
And you build that trust. You build the trust and you become an expert in what you're talking about. When I'm using articles, it's always in my newsletter.
Right.
I started a monthly newsletter it'll be 2 or 3 years now, 3 years. I think 3 years now that I've been doing this monthly newsletter, and I put it out consistently. And there are subscribers of that newsletter that I'm not even connected to, that maybe they're following me, maybe they're not, but they know that newsletter is going to come out on a consistent monthly basis.
So, do you feel it's when somebody's on a job search, I've always asked this, do you think there's anything reaching out to connect with people in that company that you don't want to work for? I mean, when I look at that, I say, okay, who are you trying to look for? Because I know we'll talk about, like, you get the in-mails and all that if you don't have all them, but is it, if you want to start doing, I always thought about that. I'm like, all right, well, then maybe I'll tag the company or maybe I'll tag the person. But I guess there's no yes or no answer to that sometimes, but
I think you have to do your research.
right,
That's what I recommend, is to do your research. And if you just see the job posting casually and then you see that the person hiring,
right.
that person probably gets inundated
Oh,
by
I'm
a lot of
sure.
messages. So if you do your research and you see who you would be working with, other
Right,
members of that team, then you're like, I'm considering applying for this role. Would you tell me what your experience has been like in this company? That's a little bit of doing your research.
right. And
Yeah.
that's where I thought. I said, I don't, the worst I always say, well, the worst thing I could do is respond. But they
And
wouldn't put their
yeah,
information up there. They wouldn't put their contact information if they didn't want to be contacted. I'm
right,
sorry. That's the way I feel about that. So if
right.
I saw you, Deanna Russo, you were hiring, I would reach out. If you were on LinkedIn, I try to tell people, I'm sorry, Indeed or any job board,
Hmm.
research the company. And wow, they
Yes.
don't realize how powerful LinkedIn is when let's just say Coke or Pepsi, when you type that in, and how many jobs you'll see there versus what you see on Indeed, because some of them, they're not the same.
Nope.
They
Nope.
have
You really
different job
need to do
postings.
your research for sure. You really need to do your research and know that company and know the tempo of the company and know the tone and the values. And I mean, you gotta do your research. You gotta look stuff up and then know the position too, because
Right,
what one company calls a marketing manager position and what another company calls a marketing manager position might
right.
be two separate things. So know that role, and that's where you can start looking people up on LinkedIn. And the worst that they could say is no, that they don't want to talk or
Correct.
but yeah, I would say definitely reach out if you have the ability to.
I saw in one of your posts that you talked about, I saw about, I don't, I get it a couple times using the voice message for the one
Yes.
minute. I talk about
Yeah,
that. Do you like, is that something you recommend? Is it,
I
I,
do.
I
I do.
personally, I listen to it. I do. I listen to it. I'm like,
Yep.
you get 1 minute, I believe. I'm
1 minute, but then you can send other ones too. So I've
right.
sent multiple. The best way that I use the voice message is to sing happy birthday to people.
I've seen
And
that. I saw that.
with,
That's what got me.
with my network, I can't sing to everybody, but
Right.
there are ones that I can pick and choose and sing happy birthday to. And it's actually because my grandmother used to call us on our birthday and sing to
That's
us. So
so
I'm like,
funny. I
I'm
love it.
turning
I
her
love
on.
it. I love that. I think that's great when you can do that. And there again, I go back to what you say, getting to know and trust. And I get people that'll comment back saying, "I haven't heard you. You're quiet." I'm like, "Oh, that's right. Geez, if I'm not," and that's where it goes about that consistency. What do you
Yeah.
find when you do your strategies here, profile reviews that you talk with people, and what do you find some of the things that they really ask you about? Like, is it just simple things that they can change just like that, or what? There's got to be so many questions about on LinkedIn, but I can only imagine.
Well, first, I want to mention something else on the voice messages.
Right,
One of the best ways to use voice message is to just have a conversation with
right,
someone so that they know you're human and they know that you're not AI trying to reach them or you're not a bot trying to reach them. So that's what the rest I'll say about it's the best way to show your human side.
I'm gonna try it. I've never done it. I have
Oh, I
never done it
definitely
yet.
think you should. I think
Yeah,
you
I've
should.
never done it.
For the profile, though, a lot of people look at the top part of the
Right,
profile, and I can probably rattle off the three biggest things: the profile picture, the headline, the banner, the about section. But really, it is about looking at each and every piece of it to make
right.
sure that you've optimized it, that make sure that it speaks to why you're there.
While you're
If
there,
people don't know why you're there and who you're trying to reach by going to your profile, then you're missing the boat. You're not going to reach your goals for that
right.
for the LinkedIn entire platform. Your why really needs to speak through on
You
your
get through.
profile. But even something as simple as taking a recent profile picture, it doesn't necessarily have to be a professional headshot. And I do have
Right.
professional photographers who follow me. So they're like, oh, Deanna, don't say that.
Uh,
But there are some people that cannot afford to have a professional headshot
right.
and just have someone else take the picture. Make sure that your background is neutral. Make sure that you bring your smile, show up the way you would in an
You would.
interview. And that's a decent picture.
Yeah, because you talk about it in your postings about how it's the same thing. First impressions. That is
Yes.
the first thing when you look at. I look at it also. You'll see
Yep.
the background. Like if you, I've been really going after. I've been trying to get some more of human resource managers in content, and I
Okay.
tell people I'm like I had a job from somebody that's in Florida that has a remote job.
Yeah.
And it's for HR. And I'm like, wow, man. I said, if I post this, I'm probably going to get so many people. He said they do. And it kind of hurts them when they do that because
Mhm.
everybody wants a remote job. And then when you have 5,000 applications as a recruiter, I know, how do you go through all that? I need to have somebody that stands out. But like you said, once you see that, you can tell by that banner on the background what they do. You
Yep.
know, just by if they have an HR within it, you know, they'll have that in it. And you'd be like, oh, I
Mhm.
knew it. You know, but if you have blank, if you don't have anything, you just have everything else basic, your eye doesn't go towards that. I don't
No.
think gravitate.
Nope. That the banner image, the 3 shades of gray that you've got going in your banner image, what does that say about you and what you do? Nothing.
Right.
It says
Nothing.
nothing. It says that you haven't taken the time to change the template. That's what it says.
That's
So
it.
you got
Do you
to, and there are tools out there that you can easily use to make it look creative and make it look different from everybody else who does it.
who does it on there? Yeah, but I'm definitely going to try the voice message. I'm going to go that route. When connecting with people, you know, you always say about sending notes, you know, sending a short note, you know,
Yep.
and I've started to do that actually. I'm not going to admit I haven't done it all the time, but I started to when I want to really go after a certain type of a person. And I'll
Yeah.
just say, hey, it's Dave. Listen, I was overlooking your profile. I really like to add you to my network of HR, you know,
Yep.
because I think it's going to help me learn. And by putting just that, helping me learn, I usually get them to connect because there's certain jobs that I tell people, the job seeker, that man, they must get inundated by a lot of people. So how do you,
Mhm.
again, when you talk about that billboard, I love how you say that. How will you get that billboard in front of that person? You know, trying to find that right person, and how do you do it?
If that person is active on LinkedIn,
Right.
if
I
they
always
are
look at that.
posting content on LinkedIn, go in there and comment.
Yes,
If
you
the
said that.
company page is posting content on LinkedIn, go in there and comment. You never know who's going to see it. And honestly, if a post has 20 reactions and 3 comments, who do you think that they see? The 3
Right.
commenters.
The
You
comments. Okay.
got to stand out, and you comment the same way that you would talk to someone in person, because you're not a robot and you're not AI. Just use your human side to have a conversation with someone.
To
And
get
then
that,
once they see you enough, direct messages make sense. It does. It
to
totally
go
makes
through that. And
yeah.
you also talk about, I like how you talk a lot about even the groups. So, you know, I even did like the Lehigh Valley. We have this one, Friends of Pete's, it's called. Man, this guy made this group and it's all about networking. And what a great group. You can go, they every month on a restaurant, they pick wherever around the area, everybody shows up. But you also can join, and I tell people, oh, go in there and post anything that you want if you're looking for a certain job. Even like there's a lot of people. So when you go on there, I look at the people that like it like that. Then I'll look at their profiles because they're the ones that are active. Like you just said, they're active. So then I'm like, oh, wow, this person handles staffing. You know, this one's an owner of a staffing company.
Yep.
Boy, what a way to get yourself out there by joining groups. I mean, you got to recommend that, right? I mean,
Joining groups and interacting in groups,
correct.
engaging in the groups. And that's where you're going to be going to circles and shaking hands.
Going in
Because
there and just,
not
okay.
just about see, the way I look at content, any type of content, whether you're posting it at the feed or wherever you're posting it on LinkedIn, is
Right.
it's your megaphone. And if you are standing on the rooftop and using that megaphone and not shaking hands with other people, then you're basically saying, look at me, I'm awesome, come check me out,
Love it.
as opposed to mingling and having conversations. So don't dismiss having conversations. It shows people that you're there to build relationships.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing again that I like about that. And even for me, when I want to get guests on the shows, I scroll through, and when I saw yours, when I saw about the LinkedIn, and it just catches my eye. And then all I do, people will say to me, "How did you get that person?" I told you before. I just ask.
That's all you
You
have
know,
to do.
hey,
David
listen,
asked
there's
me.
a great
I said
podcast.
yes.
Yeah, would you like to come on? And I've had a lot of great guests that way. And what I used to do is I love TED Talks. Okay, so I go back on TED Talks at night, and I'll watch on YouTube instead of the TV. I'll be going through there, and I'll find somebody that say had that limelight 5 years ago. You know what I mean? They've done it 5 years ago. What a great way when I ask them, because they've done their TED Talks, they're all done, but they love coming on podcasts to talk about everything, bias in the workplace. I've had some great, I get kind of intimidated by it a little bit, but wow, can you learn on LinkedIn a lot of great people?
You can learn so much. I think
Yeah.
that is one primary reason why a lot of people are on LinkedIn, is
Yep.
to learn and to build relationships. And you won't find too many people saying that they're on the platform to sell,
Right.
because the majority of us who are regulars are not there to sell. We really
Right.
are there to get to know each other. But
For that.
yeah, I think that you can learn, and that goes back to storytelling. If you're learning something from
Right.
someone's story, how awesome is that? How awesome is a good story where you can really learn something, not just about that person, but about business, about your industry? You can learn a lot.
So when it comes to hashtags, everybody Googles it, and is there something you tell people that how many hashtags you should put? Is it relevant hashtags, or should you search? Like, I use AI to help me, and I'll pick out like 5 or 6 of them. Like, oh, that's a great one. I didn't think about that one. And
Mhm.
a hashtag, you could put so many, but you don't know if that hashtag is even being seen, right? I
Right.
mean,
It's about using them strategically. It is
right,
about using them strategically for sure. And you don't post about LinkedIn. If you post about LinkedIn, you use hashtag LinkedIn. If you post about hiring, you use hashtag hiring. And if
that's what
not,
I mean.
then
Yeah.
don't use it. So your content has to relate to the hashtags that you're using.
And that makes total sense when you're
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
You talked about your articles, newsletter, I'm sorry, and all that. So you can subscribe. You can have people subscribe to what you want to do, right? So if you specialize in something, look it up, do your research. And is that something you put out weekly?
No, the newsletter is just done monthly for me, but other people can do it weekly. I just recommend when you start a newsletter that you keep it up consistently.
Okay.
Consistency is super important, just like everything else on LinkedIn. That once you figure out what you're going to be writing about in that newsletter, you keep deliver all the
But
time, deliver the value.
the
And
value of
yeah,
that.
you get subscribers that way. And the thing about newsletters is it doesn't appear in someone's feed. But
Okay.
if I follow you or if I subscribe to it, I get notified that you posted in my
Nice.
notifications. So it's valuable for sure.
Do
It's
you
one of the best things that I've done on LinkedIn was starting my newsletter. One of the best.
newsletter? I
Yeah.
like how you talk about, and I think I read about 50 of your posts. I like how you talk about foundation, and I like that word.
Yes.
How you utilize that, how you talk about the foundation, about, you know, everything you said about it's like planting a garden, everything's in there, and to build the foundation and just go on from there. I love it. Then you talk about rock music, a song, everything needs a rock. And I just
Mhm.
wanted to know if you could talk about like that foundation, what it takes to do that.
So when it comes to a foundation piece on LinkedIn, what I mean by that is you got
Yep.
there goes the mic.
There you go.
You got to build the profile, and you have to have really good conversations, and you have to create that content, and
Right.
it that's the foundation piece, because people think they have to buy LinkedIn Premium. They have to spend the money on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I don't work for LinkedIn. I've been
Right.
using the free version now for years. And everything that I built is using the free version of LinkedIn.
Right.
So I say foundation pieces. And then once you get those down, then you can consider spending the money on premium if you want. But I always say do a trial basis first, because then you'll know whether it's really working for you.
Do you look at the insights a lot? Like when I do, I look at the, because I'm always, when I tell people, like, I'll be like, wow, why are some of the posts that I do, I find the ones that are better are the ones that are the most negative. Like if I have something, let's just say a micromanager, or I really found out women about a narcissist. Wow.
Oh,
I did
yeah.
a thing, I was showing a narcissist, and I let that person speak a lot because I wasn't as an expert. I did not realize how that just excelled that video. It just went because I didn't realize that's a sore spot for people,
Yeah.
versus just talking about leadership sometimes or
Right.
anything. But if it's negative, micromanager or getting fired, wow. I mean, that's
Well,
what I
people
know.
have their experiences and they're interested in hearing what other people's experiences are. So yeah, I guess that's a very sensitive topic for the masses.
Yeah, and you do like that. Do you find it to reach out to you're looking for the job seekers, that it's okay to reach out to your colleagues about people looking for work? Do you happen to know, like I have people all the time saying, hey, I noticed you're connected with, say, Deanna Russo in Ohio, and she's hiring. Do you find
Yes.
that that's a really great tool?
I have connected people on LinkedIn without actually knowing really well, because they're connected to me. So I'm making an introduction. And the best way to do that is with those voice messages in the
See?
DMs,
Yep.
because they hear your personality and they hear that you're trying to make this introduction. And there are some times where I'm like, this just needs to happen. You both need to talk. I'm like,
Right.
I just leave
Yeah.
it at that. I'm not going to get into all the detail. You take it
I
from
love
me.
it.
You need to talk.
I love it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about it. I mean, I ask these questions, but I love your post. We have about like 4 more minutes here.
Okay.
And I know I'm going to have a part 2 show because I didn't do all this work for. I'm like,
There's a part 2
already 40 minutes. I'm like, wow. But can you explain to people? That's what you hear all the time about the algorithms and the SEO. I know I'm asking, but what is SEO and optimizing your LinkedIn profile? When people say, hey,
Okay.
Dave, have you have it optimized? Is there something I'm missing? Is it something that you can go to? Is it something that you look for,
Yeah.
on a person? Or like you said, it's just everything. Because, like when you look on mine, I tell people I have all my jobs. I have all my volunteers. Every time I volunteer, I have people that recommend me, and then I recommend them for different things. But optimization, what is it?
It means that, do you show up in your profile, in every single piece of your profile, speaking to your why and
Why?
speaking to your who do you want to attract? Those are the two big things. Every single piece must answer the why
Why?
and the who do I want to attract. And
Okay.
then you can check the boxes as you go through. Yep, got that. Yep, got that too.
Got that, and that'll work. And I wanted to go over what you offer. Like I saw here, LinkedIn profile review, 30-minute session on Zoom. I think that's awesome.
Yep,
Then one-on-one triangle strategy, three 30-minute sessions on Zoom.
yep.
Team consultations. You work with companies to ensure a
Companies.
person on the
Yep.
team. Need a speaker, enthusiastic, informative, speaks about LinkedIn. And what do you think interests people about you with LinkedIn?
Oh,
What do you think? I mean, I know that's
I
that's a loaded
I
question.
think it's my energy. I have been told many a time where, oh my gosh, how are you so excited about LinkedIn? And I'm like,
Right,
well, this is if I would not have started my business if I would not be excited about this platform, because of
right.
all of the amazing people that I have met through it. That's what this is all about. Is I have met so many awesome and amazing people who I'm friends with
Right.
because of what I've been doing on LinkedIn. So when people say things like, "Oh, it's just not for me. I shouldn't be on that." Well, you're not giving it a chance. And
Right.
you never know where those relationships are going to go if you don't even try. So I think that when people get to know me, they really see my energy and enthusiasm for what I do. That I
For the
really love
LinkedIn.
helping people make sense of this platform.
Yeah, because it's very like with me, I get a lot of people because I love staffing. So when people get laid off, I get a lot of and I feel so bad for some of them because listen, I don't take my job for granted at all. I never have. I always tell people it can be gone tomorrow. So I can be right in the same boat. And I told you, if I lose my job, I'm going to be on here 24 hours and say, I'm not leaving this profile till I get hired, but my point there is if you just build it, it comes to you.
Yes.
Like all these friends, I have more friends on LinkedIn, I think, than I have in my family.
It's about the field of
Yeah,
dreams line. If you build it, they will come.
they
I'm
will come.
telling
Yeah,
you that there's no like LinkedIn that's what it's all about. You've got to
yeah,
build it and people come to you. And when I work with people, the first goal is visibility, and they see
right,
that almost instantly. They see more people looking at their profile, and then they see inbound messages that they're getting messages from people going, I've been following you for a while. I'd love to know what it looks like to work with you,
right.
or I'd love to have a conversation with you. That's gold. That's what it's all about.
I love
And
how you talked about on one of your posts about being a salesperson that they would go back, you would look back at their profile and it's like missing this, missing that. But yet here you're a great salesperson and it just doesn't look good, your LinkedIn
nope.
profile. Like,
Nope. And that's what I tell companies is if your salespeople look very inadequate on LinkedIn, if their profiles look inadequate, then give me a call. Let
right,
me
yeah,
know. I can
that'd
help
be
with
great.
that.
I love it. No, you know what? I wanna thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate your time tonight, and we got the holiday coming up this week, and I definitely before Christmas I'd like to have a part two because
You got it.
I want to get into some more things about it to help anybody looking for work, and to reach out to you on LinkedIn. I put your email up there too,
Thank you.
and we'll go back anything after the show. You can always put in the comments too.
Sounds good.
Of how they can reach out to you. But I'm going to play this video and then I want to talk to you right afterwards. All right. Thank
Okay.
you so
Sounds
much,
good.
and I really appreciate it.
Thank
All
you,
right.
David.
Talk to you shortly.
Okay.